Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Karen Smith Frazier podcast. This is podcast number 33 called 5 Ways to Shine Light Onto Our Shadows. My name is Karen Smith Frazier, and I help caregivers, especially teachers and nurses who have a heart for service, go from feeling stuck and burnt out to motivated and fulfilled and going after their own goals with time and money freedom to do so. Again, I'm Karen Smith Frazier, for those who don't know me, and I was a school nurse for over a decade, and I understand the stresses that go along with the work and that love of the work of working with others and caring for others, but being constrained by the boundaries of the organizations that we work in. For as long as I can remember, I've always felt like I've wanted to help people. I wanted to take care of people. And as a kid, I just figured it was in the role of a teacher or a nurse. So it's kind of funny that I ended up as a school nurse. But after being in this secure job, I had benefits. I was well respected. After about 5 years ago, especially 3 to 5 years ago, I started feeling this tug that I was called to do something to take care of people in a different way, or to use my gifts in a different way, but still in service to others. Now, I can be a little stubborn. I had all kinds of excuses for not leaving, not really following that feeling in my gut. And it wasn't until I was forced to do so that I did. One Wednesday in March, when I was on my way to a meeting, I got in a car accident and I sustained a concussion. Actually, at the time, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I figured I'll be back in a few days, but it didn't work out that way. God had other plans for me, and thank God I followed through on those plans. And here I am now. At the time of the accident, I literally said, okay, God, you got my attention. And it really got me to think about, how often we know that we are called to do something more, but we hesitate to do it. And I help people who are on this journey. I give them support in identifying patterns in their lives that have led them away from their dreams. And I get to walk with them as they journey toward their dreams. If that's something you are interested in, having a partner on your journey, direct message me. Let me know, and we can get on the calendar and see if we're a good match to work together. Well, I'm hoping you can hear me. I can't see anybody's comments or anything, but I am hoping I'm not getting any messages saying that I'm not being heard or anything. Okay, so today's topic is 5 ways to shine light onto our shadows. This topic, it sounds kind of random, right? This topic came to mind when a memory popped up in social media. It's a picture of me, and I posted it, of me as a profile picture, and it's kind of shadowy. It's one of my favorite pictures. It reminds me of those Ebony magazine, Jet magazine, kind of cool looking beautiful models. And they always they kind of had this shadow feel, even though they weren't always in shadow. But the shadow makes it look kind of mysterious and cool. But at the same time, at that time in my life, I remember that I was going through transitions, and I literally had marks on my face just from side effects of some medication I had taken, and I wasn't feeling too beautiful at that time. So when I took that picture, it was somewhat intentional to have it in black and white and to be kind of like a shadow. So finding the pic made me wonder what other people's shadows are hiding. I had no idea there was so much research on this idea of shadow and shadow work, shadow self. So I'm going to define shadow self and shadow work, and then we'll dive right into the topic. Shadow of myself refers to the psychological concept of shadow self, a term coined by Swiss psychiatrist called Carl Jung. What is shadow self? The shadow self represents the unconscious parts of our personalities. These are the parts that deny or hide themselves from others. It's somewhat of a safety mechanism, right? It's a collection of traits, emotions, desires, experiences that don't align with the conscious self-image or what is believed to be socially acceptable. The shadow is not inherently negative. There are positive qualities like creativity or strength, and it can, and it also can be kind of shaped by cultural norms, like what's considered bad in some cultures. Those characteristics we may repress and suppress because they're not acceptable to the larger society. How does the shadow self form? Well, according to Jung, its origins lie in childhood experiences and interactions with caregivers. If you think about when you see little babies, I don't know if you've seen these experiments where they'll it's a little girl baby or a boy baby, and they'll dress one up in pink, and then people treat the baby differently if they're dressed in blue. And that's how, society, has the norms of what girls are supposed to act like, how boys are supposed to act. So we learn these things during childhood. People learn to suppress certain behaviors, emotions, and desires to gain acceptance and avoid judgment or punishment. These rejected parts are then stored in the unconscious mind and become part of the shadow. Why is it important to understand shadow self? Well, according to Jung, he says, until the unconscious is made conscious, it will direct our lives and people will call it fate. Ignoring or suppressing the shadow can lead to negative consequences like self-sabotage, emotional distress, and strained relationships. The shadow can manifest in seemingly inexplicable ways, such as outbursts of anger, strong dislikes of others, repetitive negative patterns in our lives, and even physical symptoms. It's almost like a stress response. So here are 3 ways to spot your shadow in action. One way is projection. Many people project their issues on others. When they dislike something, they may point it out in other people. For example, somebody who may feel self-conscious about their weight may comment about somebody wearing tight clothes that hugs their hips and how tacky that looks. And it really is a projection. It may be a projection of how they feel about their own bodies. Another example may be when parents may really push their kid to go into to study a profession or work on a skill that they wanted to do when they were kids but didn't have an opportunity. They're pushing them to, I don't know, join the soccer team or to play sports that they weren't able to do or whatever. These are just a couple of examples. So that's projection. So pay attention to how you project yourself in the outside world, because the universe works to make us whole again. People, places, and things become a mirror and reflect who we really are, and sometimes when we don't even recognize it. Okay, the second way to spot a shadow are triggers. A trigger is a reminder of past trauma. The surface events that cause conflicts in our lives are not just triggers, they are messengers that enable us to become conscious of something that is buried deep within us. For some, it may be what people experience who have trauma. Loud noises may cause certain reactions. So we need to pay attention to your triggers, because they can show you your wounds and your shadow self easily. Try to catch your emotional triggers before you act out. In other words, there may be something that happens that causes you to start feeling angry. And if you don't notice what you're noticing, you may act out on that anger instead of asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is making me feel this way? Okay. All right. I'm not going to get too deep into, I mean, they went really, this is like, topic was way deeper than I thought it was going to be. Okay. So I'll go to the third one. The third way to spot your shadow is, show up as patterns. And I think this one fits well for caregivers or people who have a heart for service. Patterns, repeating patterns in our lives point us to aspects of our shadow. Patterns are expressions of the shadow because the shadow mirrors itself into your reality to be seen and integrated. So I think about this one as caregivers who enjoy taking care of people. They have a heart for service. And part of the pleasure may come from the affirmation that they get in knowing that people will thank them, will be appreciative of the service. And it may have come from, it may be a pattern that was established during childhood when they received, the only way they would receive praise would often be after they did something for somebody, and were praised for doing a good job or something like that. I'm not a psychiatrist, so I don't know exactly, but I think the main thing about just talking about the shadow is that it's essentially saying that we got some issues that some experiences that we've had, and oftentimes they're buried and they will show up in our patterns and, the triggers, certain things that trigger us that doesn't seem to make sense why they trigger us. Like it can be that thing where somebody's mild behavior just annoys you. Maybe they chew with their mouth open or they scrape their teeth on a fork. It's not like a big deal, but for some reason it can trigger certain people. And then you have the projections. Okay. So the shadow self, in a nutshell, the shadow self refers to the unconscious and repressed aspects of our personalities that we are often unaware of or prefer not to acknowledge. It encompasses our fears, insecurities, and unexpressed desires. So let's get to shadow work. And this is where I get to the topic, and it'll be shorter. Shadow work can be seen as shining a light on the parts of us that we have pushed aside or denied. Shadow work is the process of consciously exploring and integrating the hidden aspects of our personality, whether they're perceived as positive or negative. For example, it'll be confronting uncomfortable truths, like we know certain things may have happened during our life experiences that we haven't really dealt with the outcomes of those issues, or we've suppressed them because they're painful. There's an understanding the origins of repressed traits. and also learning to express or channel these aspects in a healthy way. So, techniques for shadow work include self reflection and journaling. Regularly examine thoughts, feelings, and behaviors to identify patterns and triggers that might indicate the shadow at play. As I said before, there's certain things that, especially it tends to be loved ones, people that I love, that certain things they do just annoy me. It's not that they're bad people, but I'm not sure why they annoy me so much. And it has helped me to journal about it and to kind of explore, why does this thing annoy me? And is it possible to let it go? To figure out why it did. Is it that it may not have anything to do with that particular person, but journaling, self-reflection may help. A second technique is dream analysis. Just our dreams let us know. I mean, they can be kind of wild and random, but sometimes they're not. So just being aware of uh, your dreams, just taking note of any patterns that are showing up in your dreams. Like, I have ones where I'm running late. Like, I have everything I need and I just cannot seem to get to my destination. And I know that as a kid, we were always rushed. Uh, we were always told that, you know, you're late, hurry up. So hurry up, because there were 8 kids. So of course, hurry up is going to be part of the vocabulary of my parent. So dream analysis is another one. Number 3, mindfulness and meditation. Practice observing thoughts and emotions without judgment to increase awareness of unconscious processes and impulses. Just, take that time to meditate, just to be aware of what's going on in your mind. Uh, you don't have to be sitting in a closet with your legs crossed or anything, but sometimes just in those quiet moments, notice what you're noticing. Notice what's going on in your mind, where thoughts that may seem random may not be so random. Okay, number 4, creative expression. Engage in art, music, dance, something that allows you maybe to express that part of your subconscious that isn't really allowed in society. For example, I know a lot of people who they might enjoy music and even creative writing music, and the lyrics can really say how they're doing, and the struggles that they're having, even though their disposition on a day-to-day is fine. But they may be able to express how they're doing in another piece of themselves through music. And the number 5 is therapy. Working with the therapist can help folks deal with these parts of themselves that are more difficult to resolve, or deep-seated traumas. There's certain times when we do need extra help, and I encourage you to seek that. It's okay to not be okay with everything and to need help. I do wish there were more therapists available, but I know there are online. You can find a therapist online, or there's some apps that can help. But just be aware that it's okay to ask for help if you need help dealing with some of these shadows that are, maybe interrupting your day-to-day life. So the 5 techniques were self-reflection and journaling, dream analysis, mindfulness and meditation, creative expression, and therapy if needed. And by understanding and engaging with this journey of self-discovery, transformation can begin, moving us toward a more complete and fulfilling life. it's like, every episode I have, we're just peeling back the layers to get to our true selves so that our light can be brighter and brighter, so we don't have to hide behind fear and just things that are holding us back from fully walking in our purpose. Okay, so that's about it on the topic. But I wanted to announce that there's going to be a special edition of my podcast on Sunday. Yes, Sunday, August 10th at 9 a.m. I have a special guest, and I will be putting that in on I'll be posting. I'll be interviewing motivational speaker Dee Hankins, and that'll be 9 a.m. next Sunday. That's August 10th. And also, my masterclass is coming up. That is going to be Tuesday, August 12th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And it's called Achieving More, 3 Essential Steps to Boost Output. And I am happy to say that folks are signing up. So however, there are spaces left. So please, please sign up if you are interested in joining this free masterclass. It's just an hour. It's at 5 p.m. And just put Boost in the chat or direct message me Boost, or you can find me find the registration link at unleashyourbrilliance.org, and that'll lead you right to the registration link. So I am looking forward to seeing you next week, next Sunday, and I'll have the podcast on Monday, and then the masterclass on Tuesday. In the meantime, have a great day, have a great beginning to your week, and as always, unleash your brilliance, uncover your light. The world is waiting for you. All right. Take care, everybody.